Hello, welcome to Christ Without Borders once again. So this will be the part 2 of what I started yesterday, talking about a ripple effect. When Jesus came here on earth, he spoke briefly about what I'm talking about. He said, he gave an example and said, when you even look at a woman lustfully in your heart, you have already committed fornication. You've already committed adultery. You don't have to be physically in that act to be considered that you've done this thing. Even in your mind and in your heart and your imagination, you have already been seen and deemed as performing the act. The Bible also makes us understand that what as a man thinketh, so is he. And even Jesus goes further to let us understand that out of the abundance of a heart, a mouth speaks. Out of the abundance of a heart, and the mouth speaks. So whatever is in the heart, whatever has been cooking in the heart, whatever you have been focusing more on, you speak it out. And as a man thinketh, so is he. So the more of what you have in your heart is what you speak out, is what you speak out, and even whatever you have in your heart is what even dictates your actions. Let us understand these things. Some of these things I come to share is only here to help people. It's only here to help people, and I know if you open your heart and listen to some of what I've said for even one yesterday, and even what I'm sharing today, if you open your heart and receive it, I'm telling you, tomorrow by this time, you also be rejoicing because you would have moved away and you would have moved away from being under the control of the devil, who only... See, one of the ways that the enemy takes control of us is making sure you stay more in the negative things. You are meditating more on the negative things. You are imagining more of the negative things. You keep focusing on the how this one hurts me, and how that one hurts me, and what this one said to me, and why I can't forgive them, and all. The more you stay there, the enemy gains power over you. If you see a human being that takes a cutlass and chops somebody into pieces, that only happens because they spent enough time meditating on this, creating it in spirit, creating it in the mind, the place of imagination, before they carried it out. What you can't see in imagination, you will never create it. What you don't see in imagination, you can never replicate it. What you can't see in your imagination, you can never do it. So you see anybody do anything, trust me, that person has spent some time in the place of imagination before you see them carried out. I'm telling you. Look, I don't know what you watch, what TV series you watch. You can watch some of these investigative things we have on Netflix or whatever. You realize when you catch a serial murderer, and if you have been following some of these TV shows, look, a lot of these things are there to educate you, but a lot of us, our minds are not open to the educative part of these things. You will know that whoever, before they committed this crime, had spent time monitoring, following, documenting, and sometimes when they go to their places where they stay, you see a paper trail from the time they started following them, and they have a picture of them, they have this and that about them, they have been following them around. You see a paper trail, and then so when they actually commit that crime, you see that every victim they attacked there's a paper trail. There's something that you can follow and realize that this guy has been following and obsessing and been doing this for some time. So that's why I come here to tell you, move away from the negative stuff, the negative things, the things you think about. It's very important. The things you think about, you're imagining. If you keep imagining evil and hurt and how to hurt people and malice and how to hate this one and how to hate that one and how to... You are just opening yourself up, and you are just opening yourself up and you're allowing demons to fill you up. Now, when any human being decides to move away from negative things, negative thoughts, negative imaginations, and start focusing on good things, you leave the control. The enemy is not able to take control over you. When you decide to move away from the negative thing, negative thought, negative imaginations, and start pursuing positive things, thinking about positive stuff, doing this, doing that, the enemy cannot control you. Because in the way he controls you is from the negative thing, negative thought, negative imagination, negative action. That is how he gradually gains control you to a point that you become stuck in that thing. It's very important, this thing I'm telling you. It's very important. Everything you do has got ripple effects. Now, this is why we see this is what gives rise to negative patterns in certain bloodlines. Negative patterns in certain bloodlines. This is where it starts from. Somebody comes in a family and leaves behind so much negatives. And you see, when you leave behind negatives, somebody has to pay. So they create all of this mess. They leave this earth. And the people they leave behind have to come, and the people they leave behind, when they are starting life, they have to deal with all of these negatives before they even start living their lives. Some of them will try, some of them have tried, but the way they did it was without Christ. They did it their own way, using human understanding, human wisdom. Some tried and will fail because Christ is not part of it. Because, you see, the main thing behind it is the enemy. So the enemy is also is a higher power which probably had let and allowed whoever this person was to leave all of these negatives behind, so that the devil can take charge and take ownership of the bloodlines. This is what he does. He wants to take ownership of the bloodlines. He wants to repeat the pain from generation onto generation onto generation. He wants to keep repeating the pain. So he gets somebody to create all of this negative, to create this hurt and pain and trauma and all of that. And if care is not taken, and if these people who come after whoever started this trend in that bloodline, if they don't come to the same knowledge of Christ and ask for help and the mercy and favor of God to allow them to be able to overcome this thing that has been left down there for them, it's going to be a problem. So some of them use their own way, go to do something, and some of them try and fail, and finally end up creating more negatives. So you see certain bloodline curses, which is there, because when you do the negatives, it is piling up, it's waiting for you. Somebody has to pay. And I see a lot of people, human beings, who are living good lives, but are hurting other people, not knowing that their children are going to face those negatives they are creating. You are creating problem for them. If you can't leave them any wealth, any inheritance, please don't create any negative for them to come and face when it's time for them to live their life. It's very crucial. This is so ChristWithoutBorders. This is the last part of this. I hope God helps you to overcome.